Welcome. We're going to do some grounding, a little bit of really gentle movement, and some mindfulness meditation to relax today. So get yourself in a nice, comfortable seat and think about what is going to support you the best. So for some people, that's sitting up nice and tall. And for other people, they want the back support. So maybe you want a little cushion or something behind you, because you can still be sitting with a good posture even if you have the support. What we don't want is like the slump or something that's rounding your spine or something that's gonna potentially be uncomfortable for you. So find your comfortable seat. Think about where your feet are on the ground. Maybe you even take a look and see, okay, do they look like number 11 or railroad tracks, or are your toes out or in, and what feels comfortable? Some people like to have their knees touching. Great. Some people like to have their feet shoulder width apart. Also great. And if you're more comfortable lying down or seated on a mat, that's fine too. Find what works for you. I'm giving you the suggestions. You take it or leave it as you see fit in your body today. We'll start with just some really gentle movements, starting with a little side bend to one side, and maybe you use the chair for support, or maybe you want to lift the arm up overhead. It's whatever feels good. If this feels like a lot, you can always rest the hand on top of the head, just getting a little stretch down the side body from the armpit to the hip. And we'll take 2 breaths here. And then slowly coming up back to a nice tall seat, and maybe you stretch the arms forward and up if that feels good, looking up towards the ceiling. And then we'll bend over to the other side. So again, taking your time, and maybe you reach up, or maybe you rest the hand on your head, or maybe you don't involve the other hand at all. You can still get a nice side bend. We're looking for a stretch from the armpit to the hip. And we'll take 2 breaths here. And then one more time, coming back up through center. Maybe you push the palms away and up, putting a little back bend in the spine, looking up towards the ceiling. And letting the arms float down by your side. Lovely. And then we'll do a little twisting, because that sometimes feels really good. So looking over one shoulder, maybe you put the opposite hand on the outside of the opposite thigh. When you inhale, think about sitting up nice and tall. And as you exhale, thinking about twisting, bringing the front shoulder more forward, bringing the back shoulder more back. Inhale to lengthen, exhale to twist. Making sure the breath is first. If it becomes hard to breathe, you might have gone a little bit too far, and just come out of it a little bit. And then when you're ready, use your eyes to track along the wall to prevent any dizziness, slowly coming back through center. And again, sitting up nice and tall and looking over the opposite shoulder. We can use the eyes to help keep us tall and help keep us centered, so that we don't feel any sense of vertigo or dizziness. And again, you can use the opposite hand on the opposite thigh. Inhale to sit up, and exhale to twist, twist, twist. For me, I'm bringing my left shoulder back, right shoulder forward, inhaling to lengthen and exhaling to see something new. And then when you're ready, again, using your eyes to trace a line along the wall, taking your time. Sometimes we like to rush because that is the pace of life, but there's no need to rush here. We can just settle in. And if there's any other movement that you'd like to make, any wiggles, any adjustments, maybe rolling the shoulders or rolling the neck, go ahead and do that. Do whatever you need to do to make yourself super comfortable, so that you can find some stillness for the next few minutes. And once you feel like, all right, I've got my wiggles out, I feel ready, I'll invite you to close the eyes. And if that's not working for you today, no problem. Just lower the gaze, find a little point to look at, and we'll go inward. First, just observing, how does your body feel today? Is there anywhere that's still tight? Can you relax your hands? That's a place where sometimes we accidentally make fists we don't even mean to. So maybe you want your palms open to receive energy, or maybe you want your palms down on your lap for grounding and stability. Can you relax your feet? Let the earth hold you. Can you relax the shoulders? And can you breathe a little more slowly? And when we breathe slowly, we invite the parasympathetic nervous system to come to the forefront. We live a lot of our life in the sympathetic nervous system, going from one thing to the next, worrying and being busy and being kind of on edge or on lookout. And when we invite the parasympathetic system to come forward, we can relax. We go into our rest and digest mode. We go into this calm, healing, regenerative mode. So I invite you to extend the exhales. This is a great way to stimulate the vagus nerve, which runs from the base of the spine all the way into the gut and is the key channel of the parasympathetic nervous system. It's really in charge of turning off that fight or flight and turning on that rest and digest. So inhaling through the nose. And if you like, a long, slow exhale through the mouth. Maybe you purse your lips like you're blowing bubbles. And again, try it. If it doesn't work for you, go back to what feels good in your body. It is inevitable that thoughts come in as we sit in stillness. The problem is not thoughts. The problem is lingering on the thoughts and obsessing over the thoughts. So if and when thoughts do arise, thank them and let them move on, or thank them and say, you know what, I'm going to think about you later. And usually when we don't fixate on the thought, it floats away like a cloud. And if you like, now is a good time to make an intention or a sankalpa for your practice. This could be something very simple that you would like more of in your life. It's nice to put these intentions in present tense. The body, the mind wants so desperately to be in alignment. And when we say things like, I am calm, I am happy, I am relaxed, then our body wants to produce that state so that we can be in alignment with our thoughts. So think about what it is you want to cultivate more of. Tell yourself that you are already embodying that, and then send it out into the universe so the universe can help conspire to make it so. And I'll invite you to take 3 big breaths, inhaling through the nose and letting it all out with a sigh. Inhaling through the nose and letting it all out with a sigh. And one more like that. I'm going to do a 5 senses meditation based on how we're perceiving our surroundings right now. Remember, there's nothing good or bad about the sensations you experience. It's only something that is passing, right? Anything we hear or we feel or we see, it's all temporary. And so we'll do our best in this meditation not to cling or push away anything that we're experiencing, simply acknowledge and show up for it. Be curious. And we'll start with the sense of sound. You may hear nothing, and the longer you pay attention, the more likely you are to hear something. And it might be something very small, like a pet or a floorboard or the heat turning on, or maybe it's something that is outside your home. Maybe there's something on the other side of the window that you can hear, nature or cars. Maybe it's simply the sound of my voice. Pay attention and see, what can you hear right now? And then we'll slowly let go of whatever's happening in the background, acknowledging it, thanking it for showing up. We'll move into our sense of smell. Maybe there's something very distinct that you can smell, flowers or food or something in your home. But maybe there's something more subtle, like the quality of the air, the temperature of the air. Maybe you can feel it on your upper lip, or you can feel it coming into your sinuses and going down into your lungs. Maybe it's humid, or maybe it's very dry. Often we can feel dry air coming in and the warm, moist air as we exhale. We'll let go of the focus on the sense of smell and bring our attention instead to our sense of taste. And again, maybe there's something that's very specific. Maybe you've just brushed your teeth and it's minty, or you've just eaten something. But more likely, there's a more subtle taste. How wet or dry your mouth is, how your tongue feels, how the roof of the mouth feels, how the teeth feel. What's the quality of your tongue in your mouth today? Maybe you swallow and you really pay attention to all of the muscles that are involved in that very simple, seemingly simple action that we do hundreds of times a day. Thinking about the production of saliva, the ability of the mouth to do so many things, to sing, to whistle, to speak, to eat. Paying attention to any sensations on the insides of the cheek or in the jaw or in the tongue. This is another place where we tend to hold some tension. So You find yourself with your teeth touching, maybe see what does it feel like to loosen the jaw a little bit, to separate the teeth, to let things be loose and relaxed. And then we'll let the sense of taste go and come into our sense of touch, starting with what we can touch externally. So, how do your feet feel? Are you wearing socks or shoes? How does the floor feel beneath them? How does the chair or the ground feel beneath your seat? Your clothes touching your skin? The quality of the air around you? What's the temperature? Are you feeling warm or cool? And then we'll move into a body scan and feel what is the internal quality? What sensations do you feel in each body part? And we'll start with the head. How is your head feeling today? The outside, the skull, the skin, but then also inside your head. Can you zoom into your brain? Are there any specific sensations? And we just label them, not necessarily associating good or bad, but just identifying, what am I feeling right now? And then moving down into your neck and shoulders. What's the sensation there? What can you feel? And then moving into your arms, down to the elbows, to the wrists, and the right and left hands, each finger, the thumbs, index, middle fingers, ring fingers, and pinky fingers. Maybe you're feeling something that is acute. Maybe you're feeling something that's more subtle. There's no right or wrong. We're just identifying. And then coming into your torso, your heart space. Maybe you can feel your heartbeat. Maybe you feel the lungs expanding and contracting as you breathe in and out. What's going on with your belly? Are you hungry? Are you satiated? How does your back feel? Your shoulder blades and your spine from the neck all the way down to the tailbone. What sensations do you have in your hips? How do they feel holding you up, pressing against the chair as the chair presses against your hips? Are there any sensations in the thighs from the hips to the knees? What do you feel in your lower legs from the knees to the ankles? And finally, what sensations can you feel in your feet? The heels, the arches, the tops of the feet, and all of your toes, your big toe, the second toe, third toe, fourth toe, and the baby toes. there's anything you can do to make yourself even 1% more comfortable, take a moment to do that, whether it's breathing into a space that's still tight, or whether you find, actually, I need to adjust my position a little bit to make myself even more relaxed. And our final sense is the sense of sight, and we're going to start with an inner sight since the eyes are closed. So bringing back that sankalpa, that intention, if you set one in the beginning of our time together, what does it look like when you are embodying that positive trait, when you are happy or calm or relaxed, or whatever it is that you've selected? How do you look? What facial expression do you wear? How do you interact with yourself? What kind of thoughts do you think? How do you show up for others? What kind of interpersonal interactions do you have when you're embodying this trait? Maybe you think of a time in the past or project a time in the future when you truly feel this way. And we'll hang on to that trait or that emotion. And we'll do an exercise with eyes open. So feel free to cover the eyes at first, to blink them open so that the light is not so harsh. And when it feels like your eyes are adjusting, maybe you give your temples a little massage, coming back into your space. Look around with curious eyes and choose 3 things in your surroundings that appeal to you right now. You don't have to think too much about it. Just say, oh, yep, that's interesting, that's interesting, that's interesting. Take a moment to look at all 3 of those things that you've picked. And then we'll close the eyes again and visualize each of those 3 items. So bring that first item to mind, thinking about the shape of the item, what colors it has, what texture it has. If you were to touch it, how would it feel? Does it make a sound? Does it have a smell? And then doing the same for the second item you picked. Visualizing it in your mind's eye. How big is it? What shape is it? What colors does it have? What's the texture? Does it make a sound? Does it have a smell? And finally, the third item you chose. How big is this item? What does it look like? What is it made of? What colors does it have? What's the texture? Does it have a smell? Does it make a sound? And then when you're ready, take your time. You can open your eyes again and compare. How did your mind's eye, your memory, your vision of your 3 items compare to how they actually appear? And again, This is a time to abandon self criticism and just notice any discrepancy or notice any accuracy. And then see if you can carry that sense of observation and interest without self judgment into the rest of your day.